events this morning. We do have a handout, and it is pinned at the top of the Facebook page, so please do download that and follow along. I won't be talking about that till the end of the talk, but do feel free to follow along. We do have some handouts in the back. You guys can get those when you leave, so don't worry about that. But thanks again for being here. This is just a little bit loud, Phil, can you turn down just a little bit, thanks. Lots of people up here. Here's my stuff. We are finishing up the, I'll get it there. We are finishing up the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And we're talking about the 4 agreements because we're looking at how we have a great life and what it takes to do that. And we started off with agreement number 1, which is be impeccable with your word. Say what you mean what you say. We went on then to talk about don't take things personally. It really isn't about you. When people speak, we talked about that this morning in our class. People are telling you something and they're judging you, whatever it is, they're coming from their own perspective. They're not really talking about you, so don't take things personally. It's not really about you. Then last week we talked about not making assumptions, which is really so interesting because that's the hardest thing not to do for me, is assumptions. We don't even realize all the assumptions that we're making when you step into a place. And I think that as soon as we had that talk, we went out to lunch and I made an assumption about the food, and Terry busted me. She goes, I think that's an assumption. I said, I think you're right. I'm going to go ahead and try it then. You're right. And so today we're here to talk about our final talk, is to talk about always do your best. Always do your best. That's agreement number 4. And the reason that we're doing all of this and try to do our best is because we simply want to live a life of love and to be happy. That is what life is about. Live, love, and be happy. And so what does it mean then to do your best? I mean, what does it actually mean when we're saying to do your best? I guess I've told you this story and I'm going to tell you again because it's my bag, but I want to share it. It's embarrassing, but I'll share it anyway. Because I want you to know that it's real. And so I talked to you about I love Taco Bell. Let me just say that. I know it's not real Mexican. That's okay. Okay, all right. Woo, woo. All right, I got a woo, woo in the back. All right. I love Taco Bell. And so I was reading about, there was some about baseball, some sort of sport thing. They were giving away free tacos. So I went over there. Just us tacos, right? I'm like, oh, for me, taco. And so I'm in this big parking lot. It's like in a mall thing. And so there's streets that are just part of the parking lot. I thought I looked both ways. Apparently I did not. And stepped out in front of this woman who's driving. Now, she wasn't that close to me. She was like where the table is right there. I didn't see her. I stepped out. She honked. Scared the heck out of me. So I, in my benevolent manner, turned and I said, I wasn't really saying anything, but I was just making her stop and wait. And then I thought, you know what, really, is this ministerial? Is this your best? I don't think it is. So I was actually going to, so I did like this, and I was going to go around and talk to her, and hey, roll the window down, but she's like, this is a crazy one. I am not about to roll the window down. And she zoomed out fast. She wouldn't let me apologize, but I don't think I was doing my best. But the thing is this, I don't think I was doing my overall best. But I actually was doing my best in that moment because I was afraid. My heart was beating. And I just thought, what are you doing? Why did you do that? Why, was it really necessary for you to do that? And so my point is this. Your best is not always being holier than thou, always being the Pope. We can't do that. And really, if we try to do our best all the time, it ends up that we're working too hard. We don't want to work so hard that we're missing the joy of living. So we really don't worry so much about it, about doing your best. I'm looking at taking a trip here recently. A friend of mine just called me like a week ago and said, hey, PJ, I'm having my annual gala. I really want you to fly over. We'll fly you over. We'll pay you to come. So now I'm starting to work hard. I'm like, okay, now I got to practice on my tracks, and now I got to get some clothes, and I'm working too hard. And I'm thinking, you know what? You already know how to do this. You've done this for years. You already know how to do this. I was taking the joy of this invitation out of my life while working too hard on it to be great. I'm already good enough. So I thought, okay, let it go. Your best is good enough. Move on. So that's what happens when you work too hard and you worry about doing your best. What happens to you, like when a friend comes into town, they say they're going to come over to your house for dinner? What do you start doing? What do most of us start doing? Yeah, it's a good opportunity to spring clean, right? But the thing is this, is that your friends aren't coming to see your house, right? They're not coming to see your house. Now, if you got, the dog has got poop over the floor, you probably want to clean that up. But I'm just saying, I don't want to step in that. But I'm just saying that we don't have to worry so much about it. That's not what they're coming for. So we don't want to work so hard at doing our best that we take the joy out of our lives. But we do want to do our best in every moment. I'll take a look at what that means. So, as we're looking at, as I talk about doing our best, it's not always the same. It's not always the same. Sometimes, as I said, I was afraid, and so I was doing my best at that point. But even so, what happens when you're not feeling well? Right? Normally, you're a very nice person. But if you're not feeling well, or you're tired, you're overslept, how do you respond in the same place you respond when you're happy and you're joyous and you've had enough sleep? Right? But you are doing your best when you're tired. You are doing your best when you're happy. You are doing your best in different situations. So take a look at those kinds of things when things affect you. Let me ask you this. How many of you out there have children and grandchildren? Okay. So when you had your first child, remember how hard you worked? Make sure basically our job as parents is to keep our kids alive. So, right? I mean, that's our job, right? Keep our kids alive. So, you're trying to, you're running after them, like, oh my God, they got dirt on them. Blah. Just always worried. No, didn't have that happen to you? No. Okay, well, you're not the wife. You're not the mother. Ask your mom. Ask the wife. She didn't either? Okay. No, none of y'all. Okay, so your kids are, okay. So, anyway, you're running around with the first one, and you're just really worried about it. But you have the second kid, and you have the third kid, and you're a little bit more relaxed. I went to a family gathering. We have the gathering of women every year for my family, about in June, and mostly it's supposed to be for the women, but at one point my little niece couldn't get babysitters for her children, so she bought the kids. They're like 5, 6, and 7, something like that, just stair-steps kids. So we're in the kitchen, we're in the kitchen and we're making breakfast, right? And the kids are kind of playing around, and my niece, she's flipping pancakes and she's got her head down. She's not even looking at the kids. And then she looked up, and her daughters were doing this. They had their hands up in the air. So she's in the back to flip it, and she said, "Boy, put the gun down and let your sisters eat." He's had his little pistol, his water pistol. He was trying to shoot, but she didn't even. It didn't faze her because this is like her third kid now. And she's like, all right, just put the gun down and let your sisters eat. I think that is the funniest thing, because that's what happens, right? That's just what happens. As we grow, as we learn, that's what our life is about. What is the best for me and the best that I can do at 6, 16, 26, 46, you see? What's the best you do when you have the first child, the second child, the first grandbaby? You're growing. You're learning. Doing our best always changes for us as we grow and learn and do. As we are doing our best, we get to be a place of non-judgment with ourselves. That's the value of it. If we know we're doing our best all the time, we don't have to judge it. We don't have to feel worried about it. We just know at any given point we're doing the best that we can. If we're overdoing, we're sacrificing our lives. We're sacrificing joy. So, but doing your best, okay, that takes some action. We have to do something. Right? Okay? You can't just sit there. If you want to slay that dragon, you got to go on. You got to go ahead and do something. All right? So, taking action. You take action on something because you love it. One of the things that we're really good about is about the should-haves and the woulda, shouldas. We really don't want to shit on ourselves around here. We don't do that, right? It's about taking action because you love it, because you want to do it. I was listening to a comedian, and he was talking about taking a trip. And he said, he was watching this guy. He saw something that was out of order. And he actually got on the phone and called the police or whatever, that come to security, and made a citizen's arrest at the airport. And then he tried to elicit other people's, tape. Did you see what she did? And he looked over at the comedian and said, did you see that? And the comedian's like, oh. He said, I didn't get involved. The comedian said, I didn't get involved because I didn't care. I don't care. And that's what I'm saying to you. Get involved in the things you care about. If you don't care about it, here's my rule about getting involved. And we get involved with things not for reward or reprisal, not because someone is saying that we should or we shouldn't do it, or that there's some sort of prize involved. We just do something because it's what we want to do. I have a saying for me. If it's not a firm and joyous yes, it's a no. It's a no. Just, if it's not joyous and just a yes, I want to do it, then let it go. It's a no for you. And let it go with no shoulda, couldas, no feeling of guilt. Just, I'm not doing this. I don't wish to do it. We were talking about visiting with someone who's a negative person. And we all have these people in our lives, whether it's our parents, a relative, someone. Well, why do we go? Because it's a core belief that we have of taking care of other people, of family relationships, all that kind of thing. So that's the reason why we go. That's a firm yes. Do that. But stay and be abused, that's a firm no. There's no joy in that. So you visit for as long as you can stand it. But right? Because I had it with my mom. I got 5 minutes of my time. Towards the end, when her Alzheimer's were picking up, 5 minutes. Because after that, it evolved. And it got really ugly. And it wasn't the mother I knew. And I didn't want to remember that. I want to remember the love. Right? But she's my mom, and I wanted to see her as much as I possibly could. So she got 5 minutes. And when it started going, hey, love you. I'll be back. So that's how we, you understand? That's how we do it, with no guilt, just a firm yes. And if it's not that, let it go. So, why do we not take action, though? Well, there's a number of reasons why we don't. The biggest one is fear. And as does this go on and off? Did it click off? Yeah. Drop it, go. Anyway, I talked to before that I believe there's only actually two emotions in this world, and that's fear, love and fear. And everything that we see from that plays from those two things. So fear shows up as procrastination, whatever, doubt. It shows up in a lot of ways. So we're risk averse. We don't do something. We don't take action because we're afraid of it. We're afraid of it. Sometimes we're just even afraid of success. We're afraid of the unknown. There's a number of reasons why we don't. But the thing is this. Jesus already told us, God told us to knock, and it shall be given to you. Right? Right? The door will be open. There's everything that comes in the Bible talks about an action on your part first, before there's a manifestation. There has to be action. You have to get out of this tree. You got to get off that couch. whatever you're doing. If you want to see something happen in your lives, in our lives, we have to take action. That is just a part of it. Doing our best is the key to freedom and self-acceptance. Doing our best means we don't regret things. Whatever the outcome, whatever the result, we don't have to regret it because we know we did the best that we could. As you all know, I recently separated from Jason. And he was the love of my life, still is, the love of my life. It's not acrimonious. It was agreed upon by both of us, and we're still friends. I was just talking with him. Well, last night he called me. He just came back from Montana. We were married for 37 years. Okay? And it's finished. We both want different. He is buying a parcel of land in Montana, 50 acres. Can you see me? You see what I'm saying? It's not happening. He is loving it. That's okay. So for 37 years, we did the best that we could. There's nothing, it's all good. My first marriage to my first husband, 4 years, and we separated. We still did the best we could. It is not about time. It's not about any of that. It's just doing the best you can. In anything that you are in. You don't give it a time frame. You don't give it any of that. Just you do the best you can. When it's up, it's up. There's no time frame on it. And when it's going, and it's all good. This is what I want to hear. I want you to be free to understand that. God is life in action. It's in action. And when you take action, it allows yourself to learn from your mistakes. You learn, you're blessed. All the great things come because you ask for it, because you take action on it. So that's how we live our life, taking actions. All right? So doing our best means living our life fully. Fully involved, fully engaged, doing everything that we can. The thing is this, is that the other 4 agreements, they won't work if you don't do this one. Right? You be impeccable with your word, but you're not doing it your best. Okay, don't take assumptions, don't take things personally. Everything stands on this one. Do your best. Living a great life, doing your best means being highly productive. Or being productive is productive highly, and they'll have what I call production in your life. Doing your best means being good to yourself. It also means being good with your family, your community, and all the things that you want to do, giving of yourself. So doing your best has a lot of consequences. And it's important that we understand all the 4 agreements and this 4th one here. So just again, the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your words. Do what you say. Say what you mean. Okay? Don't take things personally. Don't take anything personally. It's not about you. And it's so easy to hear the words coming from someone and think it's about you. It really never is. How can it be? They're not inside you. I have people saying things about, well, wow, how can you do that? I don't see how that's going to work. Well, of course you don't see how it's going to work. The vision wasn't given to you. The vision was given to me. I don't need you to see it. What I need for you to do is support the fact that I see it. That's all. That's what we get to do, right? We get to support the fact that what they're seeing. So when someone's sharing a vision or something they want to do, don't put your fears on them. Just say, oh, Wes, great. Let me know how that goes. I'm very excited. Very excited for you. Very excited for you. Okay, because it's not for us to do. We don't make assumptions. And I think this is, again, the hardest one. Because we don't even know when we're just automatically making assumptions. I made assumptions this morning about something, and someone busted me on, which thank you guys for that. Seriously. Really. No, seriously, thank you, because you don't know until it's brought to the surface. Right? You don't know. And you're making assumptions about what you believe. What you believe about God. And maybe what you believed about yesterday. And who was it? Was it Carter? I was saying? She was saying, this is how I think about God today. Right now. Which I love. It's a moving target. Why? Because we're growing, we're learning, we're understanding differently. Of course our understanding of God is going to keep changing as we get a better understanding of that. So don't make assumptions. And then the final one, this one here, always do your best. So in always doing your best, and I said we have to take some action on something, this is about how if we don't take action, we're just dreaming. Right? I mean, knowledge, if you know something, people say this to me all the time. I know that. I know it. Yes, you know it. But do you own it? Taking action is owning it. That's when you know it. When you know it from here, you own it. So I don't believe in God. I know God. I know it to be true. That's the difference between knowing and believing. So how do we do it? How do we activate this habit of the 4 agreements? This is what handout is. When I was talking with Rosemary, where is she? Rosemary? Yes. Can you stand up? Show your little finger. She has 5 rings on her finger for the 5 agreements. I only did the 4. There's a 5th one I haven't read yet. That reminds her every single day to do the 5 agreements. Thank you. I just wanted that because she mentioned that to me and I thought that was marvelous. Remember before, in the old days, we put like a ribbon around her finger. I would take my wedding ring when I wore one. And put it on the other hand, so I knew I was trying to remember something, so that was something to remember. So we began to look at how to remember to do these 4 agreements. How do we activate this habit? You can combine it with an ordinary task. like brushing your teeth. Like I take my meds in the morning because I have high blood pressure when I brush my teeth, because I'm going to brush my teeth every morning. So my meds are sitting there, brush my teeth, got the water, and that, drink that. All right? So the whole thing.
Say it slower.
Huh?
Say it slower.
Okay. I brush my teeth and take my meds because I have high blood pressure, and so it's right there with my tooth brushing, because I've got the water. I'm rinsing my mouth, and then I just take the same water, not the one that I spit out, but the water the water that's clean. Take my pill, and I hook that habit of the new habit with an old habit that I have. Right? So that's one way. Before I get out of bed in the morning, before I do anything, I journal. So you put success in your way. So I want to share with you, one of the things they're talking about now, and I love this, is about creating a ritual. Creating a ritual is only about developing habits. So there's a handout back there that has the 5 steps for creating a ritual. I'm just going to read them to you really quickly. It's about preparing your environment. So if you want to go running in the morning, shouldn't you put your shoes out somewhere where you can see them? Right? I mean, your running shoes, like put your clothes out, like you have an intention of actually running in the morning. So you prepare your environment so that you're ready to do the ritual that you're creating. You find, what is the productive window for you? I am a morning person. Jason could stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning. So I would always get us up and going. He would always bring us home at night, because that's who we were together, okay? So what is your productive window? You want to figure that out and do whatever you're going to do in that time. Do the hard stuff first. There was a picture, someone was talking to training, and they were talking about do the big rock. So you can fill up your jar or your container with all this sand and never have room for the big rock. Put the big rock in first. The sand and the little pebbles will fit around the little rock, right? So that's the same thing when you're doing something, do the hard thing first, whatever it is, because that's the one you're procrastinating about. So get that out of the way and everything else will flow. Everything else will flow, and you'll just move, I'm going to do that. Choose only 5 things that you want to do. Just work on 5 things at a time. Because we have a million. I got a list that's up. I just should follow this one myself. And it makes you feel like you're unproductive. You've got 20 things on the list, you can't get them all off. So just work on 5 things at the most. You can do less than that if you want to. But just do 5 things. And then the focus is on completion. Just finish it. Don't worry about perfection. This is something that they talk about as a writer. Some of you know that I'm a writer. And I haven't been published yet, but you can read some of my beta work. And the thing is, they talk about what as a writer, you write your words, you write a word, and you read it. I can write that. But listen, you can rewrite your book 100 times, you'll never be happy. You always find a different way to say something. What they tell you is just write it and don't read it. Just write. Don't go for perfection. You'll never get the book done if you do that. You'll never get the thing done if you're looking for perfection. Just complete it. You can always critique it later. Okay? So those are the 5 things for how to create a ritual. There's a sign up, this little sheet's in the back about how to do it. It's on the table back there if you want to. This is how we have a great life. Because the whole point is to live, to love, and to be happy.
Yeah. It's back there. It's just not loud. Oh.
No? What happened?
There we go.
Ah. It's supposed to be music playing right now. So we can be dancing.
No, it's playing. It's just fine.
Is it playing? You hear it playing?
It's playing in my ear. We have the thing here, but it's not coming out.
It's not playing.
Okay, well, you guys, it would have been great. It was, it was going to be